This is the Emirates Team New Zealand LEQ 12, AC40, which had the catastrophic bow crumple in a nose dive just before Christmas. They have had a full day testing it on the Gulf, and they are returning back to base. Naturally, it's a relaxing time, and as they approach the area near the Royal Akarana Yacht Club, and they are about to pass between a marker buoy and the distance poles. It seems like they see it at the last moment, and so as not to have contact with either, they turn quickly to starboard and the rudder lifts out of the water, and hit by a gust, the boat does another nosedive down the mine. It then gently rolls in, and Blake and the boys swim in their pod. Crew all okay, boat the same, the chase boat crew are not impressed. Pilot error. We thank Justin Mitchell for their video. This is your weekly sailing highlights show, The World on Water, January 27, 2023. Leg 2 of the ocean race started from Cabo Verde to Cape Town yesterday, and the 5 IMOCAs had a quick exit heading for the doldrums. After being buffeted by strong trade winds for the duration of the short stopover, the waters off Mindelo, Cabo Verde were relatively calm on Wednesday for the start of Leg 2 of the ocean race. The short stopover marked the first time the ocean race has visited West Africa, and this island chain, despite it featuring in the race course for all 14 editions, as a tactical consideration on the leg from Europe down to the South Atlantic Ocean. Crowds flocked to Ocean Park to welcome the VO65 and IMOCA fleets or arrival this past weekend, regardless of the hour, and aided by the entertainment and concert program that kept the Ocean Park hopping late in the night throughout the stopover. On shore, the Ocean Race Summit Mindelo gathered over 300 ocean advocates in Cabo Verde on Monday, including United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, Prime Minister of Cabo Verde, Ulysses Correa e Silva, and Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Costa, to discuss redoubling efforts to protect the ocean. Out on the race course on Wednesday, teams had a short lap of a reaching course to navigate before heading out to sea, destined for Cape Town, some 4,000 nautical miles and 2 weeks of racing away. It was Robert Stank's Guide Environment Team Europe and Charlie Enright's 11th hour racing team who burst off the line with speed, just ahead of Biotherm and Wholesome PRB, with Team Malaysia last across the line. On the reach out, Guide Environment held off Holcomb PRB to lead around the mark, and on the return through his start line, before heading out to sea, Stanjek and his crew showed good boat handling through the maneuvers to lead the fleet out to sea. A short time later, it was Wholesome PRB, with 11th hour racing team to windward and in better wind, leading Guide Environment Team Europe, Biotherm and Team Malaysia. But the racing is extremely close and the deck will surely be shuffled a few more times overnight. The wind was in the 7 to 10 knot range from the northeast throughout the start period, but is forecast to ease overnight, a far cry from the 25 knot trades that have been a feature since arrival. The light winds mean it will be tactically difficult race over the first days, something already playing out with teams deciding how far south to position themselves compared to making miles to the west. It's a big challenge. We have to manage the wind shadow from the islands, which means we need to get south, but then the doldrums are very big and normally being further west would be safer, said Sebastian Simon, who is joining Guide Environment Team Europe for this leg. It is a big doldrums at the moment. We're not sure where to cross yet. It will be shifty and interesting for sure. For the winner of the opening leg, Team Wholesome PRB, the interest is in seeing the boats and sailors in different conditions from leg 1. I'm sure we will see different characteristics of the boats and the sailors too, said skipper Kevin Escoffier. But the mindset for us is the same, pushing hard, always. Leg 2 rankings following the start. 1. Team Wholesome PRB. 2. 11th Hour Racing Team. 3. Guide Environment Team Europe. 4. Biotherm. 5. Team Malaysia. 11th Hour Racing Team crossed the start line in Leg 2 of the world's longest and toughest sporting event, the Ocean Race. One of 5 IMOCA teams taking part, the fleet set sail from Mindelo, Cabo Verde, to Cape Town, South Africa, at 17:10 local, 18:10 UTC. After completing a short inshore course set between Cape Verde and the island of Santo Antão, 11th Hour Racing Team pushed out into the Atlantic Ocean, leading the fleet in a light 10 knots of wind. This next leg will cover approximately 4,600 nautical miles, 5,295 miles, or 8,520 kilometers, and see the fast-foiling IMOCAs enter trade wind sailing conditions before entering the doldrums. The crews will then get their first taste of the South Atlantic during the final section of this leg in the run-up to Cape Town. Skipper Charlie Wright, USA, commented on the conditions facing the crew in the second leg. It looks very light getting out of Cabo Verde, but the trade winds will re-establish before spitting us into the doldrums, where I will expect a compression of the fleet again. Getting through the doldrums will be key to success in the second half of this leg. The South Atlantic feels a long way away right now, but we are confident going into this leg. Cabo Verde is considered a short stop on the ocean race route. This means within race rules, there can be no amendments or improvements to the boat, and any necessary repairs must be conducted by the sailing crew during the 5-day stopover. It has been a pretty hectic stopover from the moment we got here, commented Wright. In fact, it's been full on since we left Alicante on January 15th. Whether it was the 40 knots that we faced right from the off in the Mediterranean, or the day spent gluing the J3's sail back together here in Cabo Verde, the first 10 days of this race have thrown a lot at us. Luckily for us, we were able to put the tools down yesterday at midday and have 24 hours of rest and decompression. Switching off before we go racing again is always important, and now we are focused on what lies ahead, he concluded. The first leg of the ocean race from Alicante, Spain, to Mindelo, Cabo Verde, was completed in 5 days, as the fleet raced through winds of up to 50 knots in the Alboran Sea. When asked about whether the team on board Mlama will sail more conservatively this leg, Wright said, "There is a fine line with these boats in terms of reward versus risk. As a team, we must make sure we know where that line is at any given moment, so we don't cross it." The first leg of this race was like a baptism of fire, and everyone in the fleet was held back by breakages. Breakages will continue to be on our minds and ever present, so we will be keeping a balance between pushing and preserving the assets, our sailors, and our boat on every leg. In the last leg, we were in the mix to win, and today we are leaving the dock with that mentality, he concluded. Joining skipper Charlie Wright, USA, for leg 2 to Cape Town, South Africa, is navigator Simon Fisher, Great Britain, trimmers Jack Boutel, Australian, and Justin Metros, Switzerland, along with media crew member Amory Ross, USA. 11th Hour Racing Team is currently ranking in second place overall on the Ocean Race scoreboard after arriving into Cabo Verde behind race leaders, Team Wholesome PRB. The RORC Caribbean 600 is on next month, and the feeder race, the Transat, finished last week in Grenada. Here are the winners of the race when they arrived at the finish.
For me, it's probably the most amazing race I've raced. You know, we were downhill all the way. You know, it's just amazing to be able to have this constant 20 knots, 22 knots speed for 9 days.
I think the boat is amazingly ready in terms of preparations, positioning, rating versus its pure potential. I think we're getting really strong in this zone.
Well, it's always a fantastic pleasure to lift that trophy. We won it already in 2017, which was the first transatlantic, Southern Atlantic we did. As I said to the crew on the arrival, you know, it was not individualities who won that race, it was the team.
You can feel the power, you can feel the passion, you can feel the emotion. It's perfect feeling. When she feel the 10, 15 or 20 knots, she just start to fly. It's perfect feeling that we can sail on the Polish boat under Polish flag with the completely Polish crew, with the young guys, with a lot of passion, with a lot of emotion, with a lot of power, and it's perfect feeling.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the crew, very proud of myself as well, that we prepared for this race and we won it.
It was just about everything I expected it to be. It was tough, it was rough, it was really nice on board, great sensations, a bit difficult at times. But the crew did a fantastic work. They're a great team, great bunch of people. And most of the time, it's great fun. It's fantastic. It's an incredible ride. It was all downwind, 28, 30 knots. I thought 36. You just want to push it, and you never want to give it to the next guy. They always come up to you and say, "Do you want to switch? Are you okay?" "Yeah, go away from me." And you want to keep it because it's the best place on the boat, frankly. Maserati and Snowflake did a fantastic job. We were hoping to catch them, but we got caught up by some big clouds under which we got stuck. But they obviously did a fantastic race. I mean, these two boats did extremely well.
Well, you know, we're fortunate to have a little more comfort on board than perhaps some of our other competitors, but still, when you've got sort of 85, 90 tons on the charge, you know, doing 20, 24 knot surfing off waves, it's yeah, she's a pleasure to handle. She handles super well in the swell, but you've also got to be on your game as well. It's a lot of boat, and but no, she's come through it with flying colours. We're delighted with her performance. Yeah, for a super yacht like Jazzy, this is a great race to compete in because yeah, it gives you an opportunity to sail a boat in conditions you wouldn't otherwise see. Just the experience of being offshore for extended periods is, you know, a great challenge and a great experience for many people to have, and something I highly recommend. There's really no experience like it. Just getting away from the world for 10, 12 days, however long it may take you. It's an experience well worth trying.
It was raining more than just medals on the final day of Sail Melbourne. Multiple classes were tasked with navigating heavy rain and a 2-metre sea state to decide podium positions. Fledgling Australian sailing squad team Tom Burton and Max Paul finished the regatta at the top of the 49er standings after 6 bullets in 10 races.
The final day of Sail Melbourne here today in Brighton. It looks like we'll have some fun conditions out there with some big breeze and big waves, and should be a good way to finish off a tough week.
Marie Tabarly of the famous French sailing family brought the equally famous yacht, Penduic 6, to the RORC Transat race. This is their crossing story.
My name is Marie Tabarly and this is Penduic 6. It was a bit difficult for us because it's not exactly the perfect condition for the boat, because this boat likes to go upwind and on heavy weather condition, and we were downwind, it's a light wind, so it's very interesting for us to to have some new sensation and to work a lot on the sail, especially on the design, what we want to have for the Southern Ocean. There is no school or anything now to train people to stick together and to work together and have a big vision of the deck, and especially on a heavy boat, very powerful boat. So, and you cannot make any mistake. And we don't have some carbon coffee grinder and stuff like that. It's just it's another way to sail, very classical way. So they need to be very focused on themselves, on the boat, on the team, and really work on the team spirit, and that's really cool. So I select my crew last year, and we compete like something like 5,500 miles, including the 7 stars and the Round Island. And well, now I have to train them, and there is no better way to go across the Atlantic and make some race. So it was perfect timing.
The Finn Gold Cup is being held at the Coconut Grove Sailing Club in Miami. These are the preparations at the club in Florida. So the Emirates Team New Zealand AC40 nose dived again in Auckland, and we've shown you the sequence at the start of this show. Now, here is the team's coverage and explanation on what happened on the boat. You make up your own mind on it.
Blair, thanks for giving us your time. Obviously, integral part of the sailing team. We've had a wonderful day, light-ish, bottom end of the range kind of day. Got through the sails on the front and got some new crew on board. So yeah, talk us through how the day went for you guys.
Yeah, all in all, a really good day for us here. Yeah, southwesterly breeze or south-southwest. Got on the water about 10:30, I think, and yeah, sort of made our way out through the Rangitoto Channel, out a bit further, and then started off with Nate, Pete, Andy and I on board, and then pretty quickly Joshy jumped on, and then from there we actually had Leonard and Liv join us on board at different times. So yeah, 7 of us on board the boat. So yeah, pretty cool day, and also a little bit of drama capsize there as well. So
yeah, well, it was obviously a mark grounding we were setting up for, and just got too high.
Yeah, just right in off Boraki, real close to poles there, and wind was sort of going anywhere between 6, I don't know what that gust was, maybe 14 knots or something, and just hit us just as we were bearing away, and we just didn't quite adjust on the control of the boat. But yeah, I mean, you get that's when you think you're getting it. It reminds you these boats are pretty hard to sail. So yeah, obviously a mistake and a little capsize, but obviously nice to get it back up and carry on sailing after that, get a couple more laps in.
So yeah, so after the capsize, we noticed that it was less than 3 minutes on its side, straight back up. A little systems check, a couple of hatches opened and shut pretty quickly. After that, any issues? Any gremlins?
No, it was all good. We changed it down the jib size from there as well, and as the breeze built, and then yeah, continued for a couple of laps, but it's going good. Okay, and then yeah, just a bit wet under the jacket, and then back in now. So yeah, I don't know, that must have been like 4 or 5 hours out there. So
yeah, no, it was a decent session, and we clocked over 55 miles. So in 6 to 8 knots average breeze, mate, you're knocking it out of the park. Keep up the good work. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Cool. Cheers.